Hello students, this is your course on content marketing. In this video on developing a content strategy, we're going to talk about drawing up a content calendar. Let's begin by understanding why a content calendar is needed and what exactly it is. A content calendar is nothing but mapping out of activities that needs to be done in a given period of time, often divided between days, sometimes hours, minutes also, depending upon how detailed you want to be. And it's something very similar to an activity calendar that you can have in any other walk of life. Now, from a content marketing perspective, it could be considered as a content calendar, which talks about the allocation of content, talks about the editing as well as the publication of content. It could be a social media calendar only, therefore, only taking care of the content that is designed for social media platforms and not the rest of the content needs. It could also be considered as an editorial calendar or editing calendar, which is generally if the content marketer serves the role of an editor and is usually the prime authority of publishing any kind of content. And therefore, the calendar is just for the internal reference and use of the content marketer only. And what he sees in that calendar is when the content is coming in from different sources and when it is to be published or when it is going out. Now, why it is needed is because it serves as a roadmap for the content marketing team. That's why I've used the term content calendar and not an editing calendar or a social media calendar, because this is a tool, this is a document that is something that should be designed and that should be used and managed by the entire content marketing team and not just the content marketing manager or whoever the top honcho is, because this tool can have various benefits for the overall content strategy and can actually help every member of the team achieve their respective goals. Now, primarily, it makes it easier to allocate internal and external resources, because once you start mapping out on a calendar itself that when what kind of content will be generated and what kind of content will be coming from different sources, you can start seeing clearly which resource you are using when and which resource is vacant or which resource is having the bandwidth to take on more content development responsibility. So it becomes easier from a managerial point of view itself to understand how to allocate the resources correctly and make the most use of the entire team. So this way, there won't be a team member who's not actually getting properly utilized, and there won't be team members who are swamped with their editorial duties or with their content generation duties. So there would be a good balance of things. And therefore, this as a tool helps in a good allocation of resources. Then it also helps everyone in the team to stay on the same page. So pretty much creates a lot of transparency and lots of empathy within the team, because everybody knows what kind of content is going on. So even if you have one team member who's responsible for only writing blogs and another team member who's only responsible for creating video content, within the same week, if they are pushing out same kind of content, they can have a lot of parity in terms of the content which is going out, both in terms of the written word and the video content that is generated. So it helps you in creating some kind of a symbiotic relationship in your team also. Then it allows you to set clear milestones for achievement of KPIs. And that can only happen when you create a content calendar that is long term in nature. You're not just making a week's calendar and then hoping to achieve it and then, drawing up the next week's calendar at the end of this week. A content calendar can have a long term approach. And therefore, when you start drawing a calendar from a quarterly perspective or a yearly perspective, you start seeing that along the line, as you keep generating content, promoting content, and measuring its effectiveness, measuring its performance, you start realizing that along the line, you'll start achieving some of your KPIs also. And those KPIs that are not getting achieved, your content calendar can then be tweaked to make sure that those KPIs can be captured. Then, content calendar is something that allows for regularity and consistency to be achieved in publishing of content. What happens is, as soon as you start your content marketing campaigns, the enthusiasm, the excitement amongst the entire team is very high, and everybody is eager to come up with innovative, unique ideas and produce useful content for the team, for the company, for the brand. But sooner or later, you start running out of ideas. Even though you're using the best tools available in the market, it's possible that the niche that you have selected can eventually dry up. So that is when your content strategy can start facing regularity issues and consistency issues also. It's also possible that you'll have some attrition in the team, and new members may join, old members may leave, which could affect the tone and which could affect the quality as well as the type of content that you're producing. So, to ensure that doesn't happen drastically and suddenly your customers shouldn't start feeling that something has gone wonky in your content team itself, it makes sense to have a content calendar because it gives you visible goals. So you don't have to invest yourself in thinking what should we do this Monday or what should we do this month. So it is this something that is like a written guideline that helps you, holds you accountable to certain set goals and allows you to focus on them when things are chaotic or turbulent in the team. Also, it gives you a good view of what has been done in the past, what has been historically published, and use it as a reference to build your future content. Then it can also expose gaps in your content strategy during an audit, because it's possible that going on a weekly basis or a daily basis, as you keep on creating content, you may not notice that you have missed certain areas of your topic niche. You may not notice that you are over exerting or over stressing on certain other areas. But when you look at it mapped out on a calendar, and you start seeing clear gaps in your content strategy if there exists any. You also start seeing if you are laying more emphasis on one type of content format over the other, and then you can take corrective actions to balance your content strategy overall. Now, the basic process of creating a content calendar is simple. You start by creating your monthly goals, because you have to go 1 month at a time at least. And from there, you land up developing quarterly, semi annual, annual goals, even longer term goals from there. You have to start small, be specific, and set a realistic time frame to achieve each goal. You cannot just populate your calendar for the sake of it looking productive and efficient. Remember, this is a productivity tool and it is going to help you achieve your content marketing goals. Therefore, you must factor in the timeline required to achieve each kind of goal and achieve each kind of content generation and publication. Then determine what you will share. You have to plan your content around the campaigns and goals you want to achieve. So once your goals are set, your monthly goals are set, let's say you want to achieve a set number of traffic, or you want to improve your subscribers by 2%, or you want to achieve an 15% increment in the number of shares or engagement that you are currently achieving. So you have a goal around which your content should then be built. And doing so is easy because the goal can actually tell you what is missing and what needs to be done to achieve that particular goal. Then you create the calendar using a template. It's advisable to use Google Docs, spreadsheets, or maybe an Excel file. Or you can even download calendar template on the phone, but it's always easier to do it on a larger screen so that you can have a view of multiple timelines at the same time. So you can see weekly as well as monthly activity also in one glance. So use these tools, the spreadsheet tools, to organize your calendar. You can create your own template. You can also download readily available templates. But what I feel is that depending upon how deeply engrossed you are in your content strategy and how much of a detail you want to capture in a single document for future reference, you would find that the readily available templates for content calendar that are there online are a good point to start, but soon you'll start finding that they are lacking in something and you would ultimately need to create your own template. So it's better that you research the internet to find out what kind of template you want and then build your own. Then add content to the calendar, add posts from your working library, and then color code each type of content. Once again, it's a great productivity tool because by color coding, you are able to understand at a glance that how many blogs, let's say, or how many videos, how many social media posts you were able to publish in a given period of time. And that makes your analysis as well as managerial skills much more efficient. Then gather and create the content, research, gather your content, write blog posts, design blogs, share images, design videos, then design infographics, organize events like podcasts, webinars, whatever you want to do. Gather all that in one particular document, that is your content calendar. And then ultimately you have to track your posts and promotion. You have to use the spreadsheet as a tracking device and keep on updating that whatever goals you set for the day, for the week, for the month, were you able to achieve those or not? So making these status updates is also important aspect of managing a content calendar, because they tell you how close were you able to come to execution of your plan. So if there is a, let's say, a 5% or a 10% gap, you plan to publish, let's say, 30 blog posts and you were only able to publish 27, it's fine. That is something you can easily improve, because there could be certain manual contingencies that are difficult to avoid. It tells you that next time you're planning for the same time period, don't plan for 30 posts, plan for 27 or 26. Or next time you're planning for 30 posts in the same time period, allocate an additional resource to get things done faster and to ensure that you meet your target. So, tracking is an essential part of creating a content calendar, and this therefore serves as a document that you can use to update daily and review your activities, review your target achievements on a daily basis. Now, key ingredients of a good content calendar are that it has the ability to capture firstly daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual content planning. The format, therefore, the template that you create or the template that you download is not restricted to a specific type of time period. You shouldn't download or you create a template that is only looking at the monthly picture, but you're not able to dig deep into it. You cannot go to the week or the daily level. At the same time, you should not create a template which is great at providing a huge amount of detail for the daily activities. But if you want to see a macro view that how it is translating into the monthly goal achievement or quarterly or annual goal achievement, you're not able to come out of those too much details and see the macro view also. So there should be a good balance of it. Then, clear allocation of content source must be captured in the content calendar. A lot of templates you will find online, they do not really give a much weightage to this. But I believe that by identifying the person or the source responsible for producing content or publishing content, you can actually create a lot of accountability in the document itself. The moment you start sharing such a calendar with your team, they are aware what they're being held accountable for. They're also aware how much of this responsibility is distributed amongst their team members. So there's a lot of clarity when it comes to achievement of goals together as a team. Then make provision for editing before publishing content. It shouldn't be the case that you have set the deadline of publishing three blog posts in a day, and the blog posts are also being received on the same day from the writers. And then whoever the editor is stuck editing all three posts on the same day. And it's possible that editor can do that, but it is also possible that on the same day the editor also have other task allocations. So you have to remember every time you are setting publishing goals that your writing and editing process should be given sufficient time with. Then you must make provision for promotion of content also. If you have published content continuously, you know that unless you promote it on your associated in outbound links, inbound links, as well as your social channels, it's not going to drive as much traction as you would want. And no, to be honest, not all of your target customers are going to be subscribing to your newsletter, or not all of them are going to be adding your page to their RSS feed. So you want to reach them, you want that they should see your latest updates, promote the content that you are publishing. And therefore, in your content calendar, there should be sufficient time gap before every new content is published, so that whatever you have published can be sufficiently promoted in that time gap. Then remember to include all content formats with brief description of what that format is going to be about. Maybe you can talk about the topic, and then part of the company's content strategy is creating a balanced image and utilizing the right formats and right channels to reach the target customer. So don't focus on one format and ignore another. Capture all required formats depending upon the budget and resources that you have. Capture them sufficiently to create a balanced content calendar. You can include publishing of blog posts, articles, then at a more frequent intervals. Videos and webinars can be kept more sporadic. Social media posts can be kept very frequent and can therefore have daily targets defined. White papers and ebooks can be more rare, and maybe monthly or quarterly targets can be set for those. And therefore in your content calendar, maybe publication could be a quarterly achievement, but a weekly review of the progress can be organized. Newsletters and email campaigns can be regularly arranged depending upon the business goals that need to be achieved. And capturing all this is not something that's going to make your content calendar chaotic. It's going to make it colorful for sure, but it's going to give you a good idea whether you are able to do all that which you intended to do as you started building your content strategy. Now, this is how a typical content calendar template can look like. At the top of the calendar, it's advisable to devise index, a color coded index if possible, so that whoever is seeing, whoever the stakeholders are who are looking at the calendar, are able to understand what the blue color cells represent, what the yellow color cells represent, what the red color cells represent. So it also makes it easier for you to gauge information from a single glance itself. For instance, the blog post is getting published every Wednesday. So in this weekly calendar, you get a clear idea that because blog post is the blue colored cell, it's getting published every day. You can make macro adjustments, and you can provide information for the single view also. Most content managers prefer that when they hover over that cell, or when they move the cursor over to that cell, a pop-up can appear giving more detail about what this blog post is about. Similarly, if an event has to be organized, if a YouTube video has to be posted, similar allocations can be made. Now, in the previous slide, as I was suggesting, it also makes sense to give information about who's responsible for this publication. So, if not in the calendar itself, it should be something which is put into dialog boxes or pop ups, which are visible to anyone who bothers to scroll over the relevant cell in the calendar. And that's why it makes sense to build your content calendar in Google Docs or MS Excel, because they have that kind of functionality, and it should not be like a physical document making your life difficult when it comes to sharing and when it comes to adding more detail to the calendar. So this is like a starter template which you can use, and then you can build on it, adding the relevant details for your particular content strategy and content campaign. So that's about setting up a content calendar. Next up, we'll discuss selection of content creation and management tools and why they're important for achieving your content strategy goals. Until then, thank you.